Why don't we move on to most disappointing game of the year?
Hooray! This will be
All
fun.
right, who's taking the cake?
I'll go first with this
All
one.
right.
As soon as I type it out.
I can't wait for Matt's. I'm excited. I want to see what Matt's disappointing.
I already
game
know
is.
what yours is, Dan.
What?
Ghost Recon, probably.
No,
Oh, okay.
You never played Ghost Recon.
I never
right?
played
So
it. So therefore,
here's all
I
of the
can't.
ones. Oh,
Go ahead.
so we can only write down ones we played because I'm just saying in general
No,
these
no,
were
you
the
can play
most.
it.
So if
No.
you're excited, but then, well,
Okay, I got a lot written down here.
Okay.
I had like
Bring it
1,
on.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6 written down. These are all the ones that
wow.
I just thought of where either I was excited for it and like, oh god, it sucks, or it came out and there was like this, like, ooh, I wonder how it's. So I'm gonna. Here's just a few funny ones I wrote down. Labo VR, because you had to actually hold the Switch to your face the entire time.
Ugh.
Like it didn't even like hook on. Like you just had to hold it there and play with the Joy-Cons up to your face.
Oh god.
Oh yeah, it was bad, and I guess it was very disorienting for most people. Team Sonic Racing sucked. Harry
Yeah, that was a
Potter
bummer.
Wizards Unite just took Pokemon Go and skinned it with Harry Potter people, so that was a little disappointing. This is personal for me. Earth Defense Force Iron Rain. Earth Defense Force was just a hilariously bad game.
Aren't those supposed to be bad?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
they're
so
like
here's the
comically
thing.
bad, yeah.
The one for the 360 was comically bad, but it's almost like this one was self-aware that it was supposed to be comically bad and ended up just being bland and not fun because of that. Metro Exodus was disappointing because I was actually pretty excited to play that game, and I'm like, oh, this kind of sucks. But if I had to pick one, I would think the winner for this category would be Anthem, because that was like probably the biggest game that was like most disappointing. And like I said, I do give EA a little shred of credit for continuously saying like, no, we're gonna keep working on this to try to make it good. I don't know if it's ever gonna amount to
Yeah, I don't know
anything.
if I believe them. Like, we still haven't heard anything. Like, what? The game's already going to be like
The
a year
plan
old.
got thrown out and everything like that. So that had to be like hugely disappointing to everybody who's excited about it. I was even someone who didn't really even think he was going to like the game or play the game. I was even a little bit excited because I'm like, oh, like that's cool. You can fly around like Iron Man. How fun
Yeah,
is
that's one of the most
that?
tragic parts. It has like a really solid, fun 30-second gameplay
Yeah,
loop that
so,
they
like,
just did not build on at all.
I think it says a lot that I didn't even play that game, and I think it's the most disappointing of the year. Matt, what about you?
Yeah, so I had 3. That was one of mine. The other ones were Kingdom Hearts 3, which
Ooh,
is
That's a good one.
yeah, which is such a big disappointment because there's this long history of this game over the last like almost 20 years of playing these games. I had played through literally every game in this series and just kind of it kind
All
of
at once.
Yes, well, I played some of them before, and now I kind of I played all of them last year in preparation for this, and it was just kind of like interesting to see the different characters in the world build up over time, and it kind of started to go off the rails, but there was still like even in the newer games there was like a magic and like just like they were so sincere with their insanity that like you kind of went along with it and were like, all right, I don't understand what's happening, but it's still a lot of fun. And I just feel like with this game, they'd lost all of the magic. It was just like, okay, we're going to go to this world, and then you're going to play this for 2 hours, and then you're going to go to the next world.
Frozen's popular, right?
Yeah, and they like that exactly. They're like, oh, Frozen's popular. Let's have you go here. And like none of the worlds kind of had anything to do with the main storyline. And then the main storyline wasn't really sprinkled throughout the game at all. It was just like okay, here's a plot point at the beginning, and then you're gonna get all of the rest of it in the last 3 hours. And even then, like some of the best parts of those games was seeing all the different characters from the Final Fantasy worlds. And for whatever reason,
they took it out.
all these
Oh,
people
God.
that had been kind of semi going on this adventure with you over the last 20 years, they're just like, we're gonna take these out.
Leon.
Yeah, we're gonna take them out. I don't know, because they want this to be like a Disney-oriented
Wow.
game. They I don't know if they just don't trust that their audience cared about the Final Fantasy characters
Yeah.
or whatever. Which I guess maybe they got some backlash because it looks like the DLC is gonna have some.
I mean, when you have the hardcore Kingdom Heart fans disappointed with the game, like my girlfriend's like very hardcore, like that's her like favorite gaming franchise, or at least one of them, and she was like hugely disappointed with that game.
Yeah, and it's especially it's like for someone like me, I put in like maybe a couple hundred hours into these games, and then to not even be to get to the end where I was in like the last world, and I was like, I just don't have it in me to even finish this because I'm having such a bummer of a time. It just kind of like deflated this kind of multi-year of expectations that I had for this thing. The other game I was going to say is Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
Yeah.
I was someone that got into Wildlands late. I really enjoyed it, and I was excited to kind of get in at the ground floor of this this new Breakpoint game. But just after being disappointed with the alpha and the beta, and then just like hearing more about how just kind of piss poor the gameplay actually was, like how the kind of microtransactions in stores could let you basically buy literally anything in the game. And just how the kind of the hub world was strange. Just being able to play with other people seemed like it didn't work that great, and even the balancing with the early missions being kind of very difficult and kind of not really explaining what you're supposed to do very well, in my opinion. It just kind of was like a super disappointment. And then obviously I didn't end up getting it, and kind of this kind of ripple effect where like these other games that I'm looking forward to, like Watch Dogs 3, are now going to be delayed, and I don't know how that's going to affect them. But it was just kind of
The first Watch Dogs I was looking forward to
Yeah,
is now delayed.
It's a bummer because these are kind of the games that really appeal to me the most. Like I'm a big, co-op. Some of the best times I've had over the last few years was playing Destiny 2. I really enjoyed playing The Division, so I was kind of really excited that this would be kind of up my alley, and it seems like they really whiffed it completely.
Yeah.
But I would say if I had to pick between those three, my top would probably be Kingdom Hearts 3, just because it's such a disappointment over such a long period of time. It's just kind of out of nowhere. Just the fact that they couldn't finish this right after so many people had been waiting for so long is kind of
Which is
amazing to me.
It's funny because critically it was reviewed pretty well and it sold very well. So that is really funny that ends up being your pick in the end. I forgot about Kingdom Hearts 3 as being like a disappointing game.
I kind of forgot that it came out this year.
It was very early. It was like, was it January or February?
It was early. I don't know.
I thought
Maybe
it was February.
Sounds like feels like it was
Yeah, it feels like a
February.
February game.
Yeah, because I think it was Resident Evil and then Kingdom Hearts.
Get it? Kingdom Hearts probably came out on Valentine's Day.
It did not.
I would.
Dan?
So I just had two, and I just think with all of the fiasco that this game had and promise that this game had, because I was a fan of their previous games, I'm gonna have to say Anthem.
Oh yeah, because you're a huge BioWare fan too.
So
I didn't even think of that
as a
angle.
Dragon Age fan, as a Mass Effect fan, I was excited for this game. I thought it was going to be, a great single player experience. And then on top of that, they just announced that it was an MMO, which killed me. And then they announced it was online always, even though you can't play it single player. So
See, those things excited me, and they still let me down.
well, that's the thing. I just want to play it by myself. If you can take a group in, if you want to hop in, and have friends to pop in, sure. But I want to be able to do it by myself. I don't want people in my game. And then on top of that, I guess, from what I heard and what I saw is just a lot of lackluster, boring, repetitive grind, to do anything.
And wasn't there that like one hard part you could get to, and that was like really hard to get past or something like that?
Yes, there was I mean, I wouldn't say hard, as more as like frustrating. There was like a temple quest where you had to. It was basically this giant fetch quest that you got halfway through the game, where it's like, all right, you have to open these 4 temples. To do them, you have to get like each of the temples has like 4 distinct kind of things that you have to do, and they're just stupid. Like, oh, open 10 chests, kill X amount of guys here, and just like some of them were so tedious that it was like, all right, here's like an 8-hour just wall of just nonsense that you have to just tediously do.
Yeah.
That's where I stopped playing.
And then I heard the Angry Joe did a whole video about it and gave a lot of information. And it was he'd been playing for so many hours. I think it was like 60 something hours, and he barely had enough money for like one gun or something like that. It was just a giant grind fest. At least with Ubisoft games, they'll give you items. They'll give you a plethora of items, but they're not great items. They're just good. They're well designed. But then they'll have like the special items are like the only way you can get it is through actual money. But this game seems like you just have to spend a ton of time and grind just to get anything. And like I said, it was just a huge bummer for me. And then
just because we're talking about it, it's really funny. I'm wondering if I'm gonna feel even more disappointed, especially after my recent purchase, because I got the Xbox One, I recently purchased Mass Effect 2 and 3, and I plan on finally playing through the trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if I'm gonna feel even more disappointed, like, oh, now I like really love BioWare, and they've fallen so far.
They do have Dragon Age 4, so
Yeah.
if you love the Mass Effect-
I never really played any of the Dragon Ages. I'm not really interested in playing the Dragon Ages.
Oh, Inquisition was so good though.
Which I've heard.
It's more team oriented. You can switch between the four. Anyway,
Yeah, what was your other one?
the other one was Metro Exodus. I was excited for kind of a horror slash like shooter type of thing. It's survival, like horror sort of, but it's not really horrific. It's just more of like a very depressing, like Russia. And it oh my god, the first, I got it day one and I played it and it was just so clunky and something didn't feel right.
The
in
silent
the game.
narrative didn't feel right.
No, it just.
Oh, I'm sorry, silent protagonist didn't feel right.
It just it didn't play well at all. And then finally, when you get in this open area, you're still extremely limited in where you can go, and on top of that, they barely give you any ammunition. And I wasn't playing on the hardest difficulty because that type of game is very difficult. And I felt like I was playing very conservatively, and I'm usually good at those games where I can, survive with barely anything. And I still was just getting my ass kicked. There's like stupid, like howling, like dog things, and they kept like running up and like biting me and killing me. And I'm like, well, all right, this is just really frustrating and dumb. And they also had this weird hiccup that every now and then, whatever you're stepping on, it might be like a rock or something, but your character felt like he was slogging through things. Like you'd be running at full speed, but then he would stop to walk over a rock, and then he would run and then stop, and it was just an absolute, mess. So I don't know if I've been sort of almost convinced to rebuy it for Xbox to see maybe if it runs better on the Xbox One. And
None of the issues I have were performance.
well, mine was all performance for me. It was so frustrating because, in that type of game, if you're missing because of lag or something, or you're odd stepping, stepping everywhere, that's going to frustrate you in a survival game like that. If you're missing a Call of Duty and it's a little off, whatever, you're still, you have 700 bullets, you're fine. This one, no, you need everything, and you can't miss anything. So those were my two big, disappointing games for 2019.
I am surprised neither of you mentioned, just because I know both of you played it, was Far Cry New Dawn.
New Dawn was good.
Was that not disappointing enough to really make it the list?
See, I think
I thought it was fine. I had fun with it. It was just kind of short.
Also, Crackdown 3.
Crackdown 3, like, for a game, it was fun. Like, to do...
Did you not have, like, high enough expectations for it where it wasn't, like, disappointing enough?
It's like Saints Row. I didn't expect a serious game. I just wanted to jump around and blow shit up. So it accomplished that. So that's what I was looking for. And same thing with Far Cry New Dawn. It was just like, oh, I'm going to be able to go out and play something and customize my gun the way I want. And yeah, the game, the story was terrible. And after a while, the gameplay mechanics in most Ubisoft games gets boring. But that's kind of what I expected, especially when the price wasn't $60. I think it was like $40 to start. It was just it was like Far Cry, a 1.5. It just was a continuation.
One other one I want to mention, it wasn't disappointing in the sense that the game was bad, but it was more internally disappointing because I got this game and I really wanted to like it and I wanted to be in the happening, but it just turns out I don't like the type of game as Borderlands 3. Yeah. But that's not against the game.
No, it's where you set the expectations.
I am disappointed that I didn't like the game because I really wanted to, and it wasn't the game's fault I didn't like it. It was just I couldn't get into it. That's just kind of how it was. Kind of with that's what happened with God of War.
Yeah,
that came out last year. Although God of War, I still want to go back and finish. I think because I like the cinematics enough in that game where I think it's worth it. Like when that big serpent came out of the ocean. But yeah, for me, Anthem I think is the most disappointing.
Yeah, I would have to agree that I was, as a BioWare
Are you willing
fan,
to concede to that?
Yeah, I mean, my answer is still Kingdom Hearts 3 just because of the kind of long.
And neither Dan nor I bothered to play through all of the Kingdom Hearts games right before.
I know, you kind of
killed
it. I was like, I'm going to continue, and you're like, Kingdom Hearts 3 was terrible, and I'm like, no.
Also, I think
Anthem was my strong
I don't
second
think
choice.
Everybody thought Kingdom Hearts 3 was disappointing either. Like, everybody thought Anthem was disappointing.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I thought it was kind of awful, but I think it, like you said, it did get okay reviews. So, I mean, Anthem is kind of universally accepted as kind of trash.
Garbage.